packed with coastal choices. If you're trying to narrow down things to do in Cornwall that mix proper surf energy with big Atlantic views, Fistral Beach and the Towan Headland right beside it are a real straightforward one to plan. You've got the huge sandy bay, the surf schools, the cafes and bars, then just a short walk away, a headland where you can step out of the noise and look back over the whole lot. This is a pretty straightforward place. If you're into surfing, surf watching, or you want a beach day with facilities right behind you, Fistral will make sense straight away. If you hate crowds, branded surf shops, and busy car parks, you're going to need to time it carefully or keep it as a shoulder season or evening spot. Either way, it's one of those places you almost have to tick off once. The trick is working out how it fits into your trip, main event, or quick hit on the way through Newquay. You're on the western edge of Newquay on Cornwall's north coast here. Town is a short walk away over the golf course. Once you're down on the sand looking out to sea, it feels like a separate little surf bubble. Fistral Beach in Cornwall is the main bay. Towan Headland sits on the north side of it, just below the Headland Hotel. From up there, you get those proper postcard views back over Fistral and the rest of Newquay Bay. In this guide, I'll walk it through as you're actually coming. How you get in, where you park, what the beach is really like, and how Towan Headland fits in, and the sort of people this day out generally suits. For most people, you're driving in, and the first decision is the car park. You can park right by Fistral itself next to the surf centre. That's the simplest option, but it's also the one that catches people out if they don't read the signs properly. It's pay and display or app based with cameras on the entrance. There's a steady stream of people getting fines by cutting it a bit close. If you want less stress, give yourself more time than you think and pay for a longer stay. Or treat this as a short hit and be strict with yourself. If the beach car park is rammed or feels too pricey, have a very clear plan B. You've got a council-run car park along Tower Road and around Newquay itself. From there, you can cut across the golf course on the public footpath and drop down onto the sand. It's a bit more faff if you've got carrying loads of kit, but it's often calmer and you're not sat in a queue of cars all trying to squeeze into the same handful of bays. On really busy sunny school holidays, getting early or come later in the afternoon makes a big difference. From the main car park, you're basically stepping out onto the front and then straight down onto the sand via a gentle slope. The beach itself is one long arc of sand backed by dunes and surfy buildings. You've got Towan Headland on one side and the Pentire Headland on the other. At low to mid tide, it feels huge and spacious. As the tide pushes in, it can suddenly feel like everyone's been shuffled into a much smaller strip of sand. If you're planning a long day, it's worth checking tide times and trying to arrive as it's going out rather than when it's coming back in. First impressions, Fistral has a very particular atmosphere. It's not a quiet, forgotten cove. You've got surf schools, running lessons, groups warming up on the sand, and kids digging in the shallows. There's also a chunk of people who are there purely to watch the waves with a coffee or a pint. On good surf days, the water can look absolutely rammed. On calm days or in winter, it flips and feels much more open. There's more space to walk and just let the Atlantic do its thing in the background. Facilities are one of those big reasons people choose Fistral over a wider stretch of coast. You've got toilets near the main car park and usually another set further along. That makes it life much easier if you're with kids or older relatives. There are cafes, bars and restaurants right behind the beach. You've also got surf shops and hire places for boards and wetsuits. You can easily turn this into a lazy bay sort of day where you don't stray far from the sand. Swim or surf, grab food and a drink, wander back down. If you like having everything within a few minutes walk, it works well. In terms of safety, this is a serious surf beach. There are usually RNLI lifeguards on duty through the main season and school holidays. You should always check the boards at the top of the beach for current cover and flag positions. The important thing is to actually follow the flags. Swimmers and bodyboards go in the red and yellow zone. Surfers go in the black and white zone. Outside of those areas, or outside lifeguard hours, the rip currents and shore break can be a lot heavier than they look. If in doubt, stay in the flagged area or keep it to paddling at the edge with the kids. Surf-wise, this is the home of British surfing for a reason. If you're a beginner, you're generally better off at the more sheltered end of the beach. Book a proper lesson rather than throwing yourself in. The surf schools here know the sandbanks and keep you where the conditions are friendlier. If you're already confident, you'll know the drill. Watch it for a bit, keep an eye on the crowds and rips. Maybe pick your window outside the absolute peak of the day when every man and his dog is out there. Speaking of dogs, Fistral is normally dog friendly all year round, which is one of its big draws. It's a great long throw the ball stretch of at low tide. There's plenty of room to walk if you're happy weaving around other people. It's worth checking the latest council guidelines and beach signs before you commit to a full dog day here. That's especially important if you're visiting in high season. Crowd-wise, you need to go in with your eyes open. On a sunny weekend or in the summer holidays, it's not a quiet, tucked away spot. You'll be sharing the sand, the water, and the car park with a lot of other people who have exactly the same idea as you. If you want the Fistral experience without the crush, think early mornings, shoulder season days, or even a winter walk with a hot chocolate afterwards. On a crisp cold day when the surf's up and the light's low, it feels like a totally different beach. Food and drink can easily swallow a chunk of your budget here. The big plus is that you can sit looking over the bay with a decent coffee, a pint, or fish and chips, and not have to move the car. The downside, it's very easy to drift from one quick drink to we've just spent half the day's budget in one spot. If you're trying to keep costs down, a good compromise is to bring your own snacks and drinks for the main part of the day, and just treat yourself to one meal or one round at the end, once you've decided how long you're staying. Now, Towan Headland turns this from a straight beach day into a more of a rounding outing. From the main Fistral car park, you can head up the road past the surf complex and follow the path up towards the Headland Hotel. From there, you pick up the coast path. With a few minutes, you've climbed away from the beach noise and you're out at the headland with the sea on three sides. From up there, you can look straight down over Fistral. You can also look across to Pentyre. The other way, you're looking into Newquay Bay with its line of town beaches. On the right sort of day, it's a brilliant place to pause with a flask, sit on the grass and just watch the swell wrap around the bay. On a wild, windy day, you'll want to keep a tight hold of hats, dogs and kids and stay well back from the edges. The drops are real and the wind can be stronger out there than it felt in the car park. If the tide is right, you've also got Little Fistral tucked under the headland itself. It's a smaller pocket of sand that appears at lower tides. It feels more tucked away and is popular with locals. But you absolutely need to watch your timings. This is not the sort of place you want to relax with a good book and realise the tides cut you off on your easy way back. If you're not confident with tides, treat Little Fistral and the rockier bits around the headland as somewhere to explore briefly, not a long settle in the beach. Linking the two together is simple. You spend a chunk of the day down on Fistral, swimming, surfing, paddling, or just people watching with your toes in the sand. Then once you've dried off and had enough of the crowds, wander up onto Towan Headland for that last bit of big view breathing space before you head back to the car. If you're staying in Newquay itself, you can even turn it into a loop. Walk out across the golf course, drop down to Fistral, spend a few hours there, then head up around Towan Headland and back into town along the roads or coast path. So is this somewhere you build a whole day around or more of a we're in Newquay anyway stop? If you're into surfing or have teens who are, you could easily spend most of the day here between surf sessions, breaks and food. If you're more of a walker who likes quieter coves and coast path, Fistral and Towan Headland probably sit better as half a day. Watch the action, grab a drink, walk the headland for the views, then move on to somewhere a bit calmer once you've had your fill. In the end, Fistral Beach and Towan Headland are definitely worth having on your Cornwall list, especially if you want that classic home of British surfing feel with all the facilities in one place. They suit planners who don't mind a busier and more built-up beach day, people who like the idea of watching the waves with food and a drink to hand, and people who are happy to pay for the convenience of close parking. If you're allergic to busy car parks, branded surf culture, and any beach where you can't hear yourself think, you can probably keep this as a quick visit rather than the main event. To do it smarter, come with a clear parking plan, A and B. Check the tide before you commit to a long stay. Think about timing. Early, late, or out of peak season turns the whole place into a much easier, more enjoyable stop. Use the Towan Headland as your pleasure valve. Dip into the buzz of the sand, then head up onto the headland where you want space and big Atlantic air before you move on. Thanks for watching. Until next time, cheers you.
Get ready, we are so divine. Blue water and yellow sand, just you and me. Summertime, get ready, we are so divine. Blue water and yellow sand, let's live our dream. Summertime, get ready, we are so divine. Blue water and yellow sand, just you and me. Summertime, get ready, we are so divine. Blue water and yellow sand, let's live our dream.